Well, welcome to the second of what we hope will be several Hamilton Big Committee 2026 huddles. These are opportunities for us to talk to members of the big committee, local supporters, as well as athletes. And we have two athletes who have competed in multi-sports events on the show today. And we're going to talk to them a little about their competitions at Commonwealth Games and also about what their roles are today, because they've continued to be actively involved, but in a different perspective. So joining me today are Benoit Huot. He is a Canadian Paralympian who began his swimming career in 1998. He has won 20 medals over 5 years. He has set and broken numerous world records, and he is a 4-time Pan Am Game medalist, along with the 4 medals at 3 Commonwealth Games. And starring in his upcoming role, he is going to be the chef de mission for Canada at the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, England. I almost ran out of breath on all those achievements, Benoit, but thank you for joining us. And also Alexandra Orlando. Now, Alexandra is a Canadian Olympian who was involved for 17 years in her life in the sport of rhythmic gymnastics. And listen to these accomplishments: 5-time national champion, 3-time Pan Am gold medalist, 6-time Commonwealth Games gold medalist, and she was part of the bid and organizing committee for the 2015 Pan American Games in Toronto. She also sits on a number of international commissions with the IOC, the COC, the Pan Am Games organizations, as well as being an athlete advocate on those particular committees. I'd like to start with you, Benoit, for a moment. Since we are talking about the Hamilton Big Committee 2026, I've been told that the Commonwealth Games holds a special place, I guess, in your heart when it comes to multi-sport competitions. Why is that?
Well, it's quite true, Sue. I went to 3 Commonwealth Games as an athlete. Birmingham will be my second on the mission staff. I had the privilege to be an assistant chef in 2018 in the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. And what I recall from my first game was the first time that I felt that I was considered a real, well, can I say the word real, but a real athlete. Let's say it to make it easy to understand. I had been to the Paralympics in 2000 in Sydney, but para sport in general, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, was a growing movement, and still quite in that role, in that position today. And the Commonwealth Games Federation decided at the end of the 1990s to fully integrate the athletes with a disability within their games. So I think Victoria 1994, here in Canada, we had the opportunity to have some demonstration events for parasports. However, the medals were not, the medals won were not counting towards the final count of each country. And in 2002 in Manchester, I had the privilege to compete and get and receive a selection and swim for Canada at these games. And the medals that we won as athletes with disability were fully counted towards our final count at the end of the game. So it was quite special, because it was the first time, when I say the word real, that I felt that I was within the big sporting community, a big sporting family, and our performance were recognized the same way as the able-bodied were. And it was quite neat. Right? And it's still to this day, Commonwealth Games are the only multi-sport event that fully integrate athletes with a disability within their games, within their program. And, you know, talking about inclusion, there's no better organization that does it so well.
Mm-hmm. You know that there's a lot of concern on several levels due to the pandemic about how much multi-sports games will cost moving forward. But I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on why Hamilton should stay in this fight to bid for these games and go full steam ahead. Why is it important, especially coming out of something like the pandemic?
Well, there's many reasons, in my opinion, that it's not that a city should go ahead and bid and host multi-sport events such as the Commonwealth Games. One of them is, and again, that's the athlete in me, and it's the passion, I guess, from coming from the sport world. But I remember watching the 1994 Commonwealth Game, and this is what, 26 years ago now. It's the last time that Canada hosts the Commonwealth Games in '94. And I was 10 years old, and I was watching the swimming competition, and I was inspired. I was quite inspired by what was happening in our country, even though I was not physically there. But because we were the host country, we did a lot. It was broadcast on national television. We were able to witness the Canadian performance, and this created role models for our youth, such as me. I was starting in the sports system, and I was really inspired. Now there's other great reasons for the city itself. We can think about Winnipeg, the Pan Am Games we had in 1999. We can think about Toronto in 2015. All the different infrastructures that this brings to the city. However, we understand that Hamilton is not even going in that direction. So this is actually a good thing in terms of investment, because we're going to minimize how much it's going to cost. However, we might do some renos. We might do we might invest within our school programs, within our community, to help the next generation of people of Hamilton to really feel that they have the ability to have access to sport and to different sporting organization and recreation, that so they can actually utilize the power of play and sport. And I'm understanding also one of the big point that we're trying to move forward with the Hamilton bid is the affordable housing. I come from Montreal, so I can tell you that what I'm hearing from my friends in the Ontarian market and the GTA, it's very expensive to live within the Toronto area, such as Hamilton. And one of the big point that we're trying to do, and I'm sure Alexandra will jump and reiterate towards that point, is with the Commonwealth Village, trying to build and having the ability to host the 72 nations from the Commonwealth within Hamilton in 2026, and welcome thousands of individuals to Hamilton. Well, we hope to give affordable housing for the years to come following these games. So this is one big point that we're trying to bring forward with this bid.
Now, I mentioned your starring role, and I know you've been assistant chef de mission, but you're going to be the chef de mission for Canada at the Commonwealth Games in Melbourne, which means you're going to get to know a lot of these athletes. And I'm wondering even now, what you would tell an athlete going into their first Commonwealth Games competition.
Well, they are the friendly games. We call them the friendly games. And I think it's the best platform. It's the equivalent of the Pan Ams also, but best platform to learn for a future Olympian, future Paralympian, what the multi-sport games are all about, and the fact that it gives you the ability to live on a village, to eat within the same dining hall, to create that synergy within different sports that we most of the time don't have the chance to do, and it's the same thing with Alex in your sport, Alex. I'm sure it was quite similar. Like we go to World Championship, we do the World Cup circuit, and it's only the same people. Now that we live a multi-sport event, it gives you that ability. And I would say that one of the big, the big key point of the reason why I wanted to be involved as a chef for the Commonwealth Games for Birmingham in 2022 was that, again, that inclusion piece, really trying to reinforce the para sport movement and give them that visibility and the awareness that we're hoping to receive and to get. And there's no better platform than the Commonwealth to do so. So the power of being one team is quite unique, and I felt it as an athlete 3 times, coming from that parasport background within that sporting system. And as funny as it sounds, talking also with the inclusion piece, yes, in the parasport movement, we somehow were different, doing our own things, but there's also that ability when talking about inclusion of trying to, I'm not sure if the word is unify, but really bring everyone together with our own differences. I remember personally as an athlete growing up in the sports system where it was quite challenging for me to speak English 20 years ago. And even though we live in a country where both French and English are the official languages, it was kind of challenging growing up, and I felt at that time that I wish I had a bit more support, and I think we're in a different place nowadays 20 years later, but in growing up in that sports system in the late 90s, where the province almost separate from the rest of the country was quite difficult. And now I feel we're more equipped, but this is the team, I would say, that I'm trying to bring forward within that role as a chef, and making sure that we are one team and we focus on that inclusion piece.
All right, now, Alexandra, I want to talk to you about the fact, I mentioned it before, but to get 6 medals, you won all 6 events of the Commonwealth Games in Melbourne. So obviously the Commonwealth Games must be special to you as well.
Yes, I mean, most definitely. I just want to thank Ben as well. He's so inspiring. I was just sitting here listening to him. You know, I think we actually met at the 2006 Commonwealth Games. So
yeah, we did.
we did. And you're I love so much talking about bringing the teams together. And it was my first major multi-sport event, and you know, it's one that I'll never forget. But it truly was a game changer for me. And it happened way before I stood on the podium. And a lot of people don't know that, you know, I missed qualifying for the 2004 Olympic Games. And I was 16, and I was really doubting whether or not I was going to continue in sport at all. And I was lost. I didn't know if I had a purpose moving forward. And all of a sudden, you know, my coach came to me and said, you could compete at the Commonwealth Games in 2006. And this is an opportunity. And it gave me this renewed sense of purpose and motivation that I could go and represent my country on the world stage and be an ambassador. And it really got me back into sport. And a lot of people don't know that. They always think that, oh, the Commonwealth Games is your favorite because of, you know, your success or your medals, but it actually has nothing to do with that. And the people that I met and the other athletes, it was the first time that I could learn and be inspired by other athletes from other sports, not just able-bodied, but bringing a parasport included into one games. It was a game changer. It was, you know, it was kept me in sport for another 4 years, and it renewed this sense of love that I had. And I think for the first time realized that sport and what we were doing on and off the field of play was just such a powerful tool to bring people together, to motivate people, and to really create more connected communities.
And become friends with people like Benoit, right?
I mean, amazing. Like, this is, yes.
Yeah. Now, you know, you're in a unique position right now because you had experience with the big committee and the organizational committee for the Pan Am Games in 2015. And so I think you are able to see what goes into having the right people, putting a bid together and that kind of thing. I know you've met the people on the big committee here in Hamilton. Now you have to watch what you say, but I mean, does Hamilton have the right stuff in order to go after these games and present it to both the federal and provincial and municipal governments?
Well, let me just say clear, you know, put the record straight. Absolutely. There is so much passion, so much energy and dedication to these games and this transformational effect that they can have on Hamilton and the surrounding region. they have more energy than me, and I think that's really hard to do. They're really taking this as an opportunity for pandemic relief, for, you know, economic regeneration. Like, they're looking at it as going, okay, this is one of the most incredible sporting events where we can bring some of the best athletes in the world together, and through that it can be a catalyst for needs and real needs. And as Ben was mentioning, needs of the community, housing, and housing is a huge need, but also other social impacts when you look at different parts of the community having access to sport, and just overall, like, well-being, really, like health and wellness, as well as, you know, bringing everyone together and inspiring, you know, the community to not only get behind sport, but to really highlight all the incredible, I would say, all the incredible businesses, all the incredible innovation that's going on in Hamilton right now. Like, that's the moment where, you know, the world's eyes are on you. We can showcase, you know, who we are, what we stand for, and the amazing things we're doing across so many different, you know, businesses outside of sport as well. So I think it's just such an incredible way of approaching a bid. They're really working, you know, as Ben said, with the Commonwealth sport movement that is looking to build lasting legacies. And we say that this is not just, oh, okay, you know, a boost for the next 2-3 years. This is 10, 20, 50 years. Like, we're talking about changing communities and where we live, and where our children and their children are going to live, and what that's going to look like.
I thank you both for being with us today. You bring valuable insights to this whole situation. Thanks so much for being with us. And thanks to all of you who are viewing this. And we hope to have more of these Hamilton Commonwealth Bid 2026 huddles for you in the future. More to come. And please visit us at our website as well as on social media. Have a great day.